All right, hello Tide fans. Welcome to Tide Talk. I'm here with Maurice Booth. You guys should recognize his face. He's been on the show all year this year. Coming off another victory, kind of expected that. 4-0 start. Everybody kind of anticipated that. Getting ready to go into a home SEC game with Ole Miss. The expectation is we're supposed to dominate that game. I read a lot of things about, if you're a betting man, bet on Alabama with Ole Miss and that sort of thing. But I want to kind of catch up a little bit. We've talked a lot over the past few weeks about the offensive line, and we've talked about a little bit of the disappointment in us and the inability to run the football when we wanted to. Right. We saw a little bit of success this past week. Do you think that they're getting a little more just comfortable with who those first five guys are? Or Maurice, is it just more reps have taken over? Now we're starting to get, we're starting to see the talent that we talk about, that five-star talent all the time.
I think it's a little bit of everything, but most importantly, I think it was because it was Southern Miss.
That could be true.
They came in with the 106th ranked passing defense, and the rushing defense wasn't that great either. And so it does help that there's some, familiar. I can't even say the word. It's
familiarity.
It's easy for you to say. With the offensive line, I did notice a couple of things, my opinion, and Nick hasn't called yet. But
he's calling though. He will be calling.
He's watching. If I'm the number 3 running back, I feel good about my chances of moving up. Nothing against Brian Robinson. He's lumbering through the hole. He's a big, strong kid, doesn't have the speed that what we're accustomed to seeing, like with a TJ Yeldon, Mark Ingram type of running back. Now, I know it's a different offense than Sarkisian's, but I was happy to see it, of course, but if we didn't, I would have been more concerned against that defense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we talk about it was Southern Miss, but my comment's going to be, well, we were a little concerned after New Mexico State.
Right.
We were a little concerned after Duke. But I do agree that I noticed not just Brian Robinson.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, Najee Harris seems like he's getting into more of a groove. Seems like he's starting to get the feel for what we expected, what everyone thought that was going to happen, him be the number 1 guy, him get more carries. However, I still notice too many times, in my opinion, those guys dancing in a hole, trying to find something, as opposed to
hitting it.
Let me hit the hole, let me get what I can get, and then if something breaks after I've hit but I made the comment on Saturday, we're dancing too much.
Right.
We're dancing too much. And again, I don't know
Especially, that's what I'm referring to with Robinson, is the fact that you don't have the feet to do this. So just hit it and get what you can. You're big enough, you're strong enough.
That's
that.
right.
You don't have the footwork. Now, Harris is a little bit more fleet-footed, but he's a big kid, too, but he's a little bit more slender, and he does have quicker feet. Ford, the number 3, smaller, very quick.
Really shifty.
Yeah. So I would feel good about my chances if I'm him to really, work hard in practice.
Yeah.
And I think you'll get, more reps.
Well, and speaking of reps, I mean, we've been able to throw the football and have a lot of success. These guys, these running backs, that they're thinking, I've got to do something when I touch the ball.
Right.
Because they're not getting a ton of chances. Now, I looked at the stats, and it looks like we're really close to a 50-50 with respect to pass. However, we are a little more heavy to the pass with reason.
Yeah.
But those guys are thinking that. I know as an athlete, that's what I'm thinking, that if I don't do something when I touch the ball, somebody else may be getting that chance.
Which here's the other side to that. I don't think it should be. I don't know why everybody thinks that it should be a 50-50 pass-run ratio.
It's whatever's working.
Whatever's working. And when you got 4 or 5 that are exceptional receivers that can take it to the house like that.
That's right.
Any play. So, to your point, when you get your chance as a running back, you better make it. Same time, doing that, they're not the defenses that we're facing are not crowding the line. They're having to respect. You better respect.
Yeah, they are.
And so, quit the dance and hit it, and you're going to get 5 or 6, and then you can, do whatever move you want to do to break loose, but get there. I just don't see it.
Yeah, again, I talked about starting to see Najee Harris kind of get into a groove. It just seems like he's gotten much more comfortable.
He does.
And I'm a believer. I know this. We've talked about guys in the past, but I know Derrick Henry. The more he got the ball, the better he got as the game went on.
Right.
Not everyone's like that, but that's how he was. And I'm beginning to think that Najee Harris is that way. The more he carries the ball, the more he gets a feel for the game. He gets a feel for what the defense is doing. He gets a feel for what the offensive line. So,
but we didn't have in Derrick Henry. It was like that, and I like running backs like that because he was a big, strong kid that was always in shape. So, if you go back to that year, what was that, 17? Mm-hmm. We probably had only one receiver.
Right.
I mean, now you got, when I say echelon, top echelon. So it was out of necessity. Now Harris should be fresh no matter what, but yeah, repetition does get you in a groove. But at the same time, if you've only touched the ball 7 or 8 times running the
Right.
ball, you should still be ready. The one thing I do like about it is the fact that we do get the ball to him out of the backfield.
He's the last 2 weeks he's caught 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
One was a lot on his own.
Not bad.
Not bad. Now this past weekend he caught the touchdown pass. No one was around him. Very well designed play. Mm-hmm. But we utilize, based on what the defense gives you, we utilize our backs and we have for years. We have for many years. T.J. Yeldon out of the backfield. I can, Trent Richardson, Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
We've thrown the football to those guys out of the backfield, and that just makes it even harder for a defensive unit who's already got 4 guys, most of the time 3 to contend with, and now you got a running back who's really good out of the backfield with catching the football.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that adds to the complexity of trying to defend against us. I would hate to do it because, number one is usually, when we grew up, it was always key the tailback.
Right.
And that's going to be your workhorse. Now you got 4. Who are you going to single? Who are you going to double? How are you going to play the zone? And then expose yourself to the run, or even worse, I forgot about the back that's floating over here, touchdown type of thing. I hope that continues, and I just worry about us when we get into stiffer competition in the SEC West.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's coming. I mean, we know that's coming. You talked about double coverage. I want to touch on that for a minute. Jerry Jeudy has been a little. It's tough to say quiet because he, starts out, on fire. But it's tough to say quiet. But Jerry Judy's been a little quiet the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe seen some double team, because you know that I even read articles where they're talking about how are they going to defend Jerry Jeudy. But then here comes Ruggs with
Devontae Smith.
Smith.
Ruggs has had, and the other one that you're talking about, that we don't seem to mention, but he's out there, and you got to keep an eye on Waddle.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle.
So you got Ruggs, who's gotten off the past 2 games. Devontae Smith has showed up every then. Yeah, and Jerry Jeudy, well, you're the Biletnikoff returning winner. You're going to get some attention.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what we said at the very first show. How do you defend those guys? And I don't know that there is a design for that, really. I mean, we're going to see it coming in the next few weeks, over the course of the next couple months, when we start facing the A&M's defensively and the LSU's defensively and the Auburn's defensively.
Yeah.
We're going to start seeing some of that. People trying to do different things, trying to figure out how to stop that full package. I don't know that that's possible, but I am interested to see how they do plan to do that. I want to talk real quick about Deonte Brown coming back. He's eligible, but if you heard Nick Saban Doesn't mean he's going to just jump back into the lineup. What's your thoughts on the guy that started 5 games last year?
Right.
Everybody talks about he's the run guy.
Well, I mean, you being a former coach, you can't just put somebody else in that hasn't been running with the first team, for the past year, so to speak. Technically,
because even in the offseason.
Right. So
I mean, he sat the 2 playoff games and then 4 games into this year.
Right, because you lose that continuity with teammates, the rest of the line. I'll be interested to see how he progresses. And you and I were talking beforehand. I thought the offensive line was a little bit better this week, but I take before everybody goes, it's Southern Miss. Get that. I'm not an idiot.
Right.
Most of the time. But they looked kind of like you said, more comfortable. I didn't see a lot of missed assignments.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Not necessarily just more comfortable. They just looked more confident. I didn't see a lot of missed assignments.
Right.
I didn't see what I saw early in the year where you'd see D lines crossing and guys kind of going with them and easy lane to the quarterback and pressure. I didn't see a lot of that. So that gives me a better feeling about the fact that our line's starting to play together a little bit more. I am also interested to see how the Deonte Brown situation shakes out, because if you understand and know what he's projected as one of the better guards that we have,
right.
And we've got a tackle in Alex Leatherwood that's playing guard who technically was a starting tackle. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that shakes out, and then will we see more, us having more of ability to run the football when we want to? I don't know that one guy technically makes the difference. However, if you put one guy and you're able to put someone else where he is
right.
more comfortable, now you're not talking about just one guy.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see. So we're going to take a short break on behalf of Bob English and State Farm, but hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
In life, some things just go together, like a burger and fries, and home and auto insurance from State Farm. So make it a combo. Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Just call me, Bob English, or any of my experienced hometown team and find out how you could start saving today. It's just another way.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. So, fans, I want to mention just something that we tried to do last year. We're going to try to do it again this year.
What's
You'll
that?
See this number right here on the screen. Do you see it?
Wow.
you
Where
like
did that come from?
That's what
Can I touch it?
Hey, those technical guys right there in the back.
It's soft.
Right here.
It's a lot softer than it
We're going to
looks.
try taking some questions or comments that you may have. So call into this number, ask Maurice or myself, and then we will address those questions on the next filming. And hopefully we'll get everyone that calls in. Didn't have a whole lot of response last year, but we're thinking that may be something that we add to the show. So, Maurice, you may get a chance to answer some questions from some of your fans.
Oh, well, I'll tell Mom.
I was just about to say, tell Mom. So, Maurice, again, going back to kind of where we left off, a lot about the offensive line, about the offensive productivity, which is what has been expected. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. You and I were talking right before the show just about, the fact that we've got so many young guys playing, but not just young guys playing. We've got young guys playing in key positions.
Right.
Guys that are calling the plays, that are signaling the plays. So not only do they have to, they're freshmen and they're playing, on a big stage at the college level for the first time or for the fourth time. They're also having to get guys in position and get the call from the sideline.
Well, we're lucky, in my estimation was right. I thought that before the season, our secondary, which last year was by far the weakest, is now the strongest. And they've played, in my opinion, exceptionally.
Really well.
The thing from the other day, which is concerning going into really league play, is the linebackers. You talk about everybody has somebody to lean on. Well, those are two freshmen at
right.
linebacker. So in that one wheel route the other day, I believe that was Christian Harris's responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Maurice, I mean,
I'm not knocking him. I think
I hate to cut you off, but if you think about it, I'm not for sure. I don't know if it was South Carolina. I'm trying to think back, but we've been burned a couple of times on wheel routes by the back. So the offensive coordinators are noticing this. And
they can confuse them,
and they're running some guys with some speed and some quickness against our linebackers.
Yeah.
And it's happened more than one time.
I think physically they're able to. It's just a recognition
That's
of
right.
it. And it's going to come with experience. And hopefully last week's little mishap is a learning experience.
That's right.
So, we'll see. I think the defensive line played okay, but still waiting for a little bit more out of Davis. I think our freshman nose guard. How bad have you seen?
That kind of man,
DJ
Maurice,
Dale?
That kind of leads right into where I wanted to go.
Where are you going
I mean,
with this?
what a great job! I don't know if you were just
It's
reading
almost
my
like
mind.
it's almost like we worked this out.
Yeah. You talk about you're waiting to see more from Raekwon Davis, and that's exactly what I was saying this weekend. I've yet to see the Jonathan Allen, the Ashawn Robinson, the Jaron Reed, the C.J. Mose, that alpha dog that will either grab somebody by the face mask, to get them either fired up or to make the play themselves.
Right.
I've yet to see. We don't have.
I don't think he's a
We don't have that dominant guy
team leader.
that not just dominates physically but audibly, that leadership role.
Right. That wants to take responsibility of the entire defense that falls on me, coach. And nothing against Davis. I think, he'll be playing on Sundays just because of his size. He ain't it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But he's just not. He may be a little bit less selfish than he was last year, but he is not like the Ashawn Robinson that, a truly.
Jonathan Allen.
That was when you have a team like that, especially when you got the big boys that can basically drive direction of the team.
Correct.
And I'm not talking about selfish. I'm talking about they want everything to be right.
That's right.
And it's not there.
Yeah. I think everybody kind of anticipated that to be Dylan Moses this year. Everybody, expected
Possibly,
Dylan Moses.
right.
Not just because he was the middle linebacker that was returning, projected potential All-American. It was, in my opinion, I was really anticipating Terrell Lewis to be the guy. I mean, physically, he has the part.
Yeah.
You watched him a couple of years ago in the 8A game, and he just looked like he reminded me of Javon Curse back in the day.
Yeah.
Who they called the freak. I mean, this guy's 6'5". He's
Can jump and
he
run.
can jump, and his wingspan. I just didn't expected it to be him.
Right.
He fits the mold.
No, it very well still could be. He was sat out the other day because of a hyperextended knee against South Carolina. They didn't want to take a chance, and I believe
Makes sense.
I think they may have had a little minor surgery as far as cleanup, and he wanted to do it to go ahead and address it now and sit last week and get ready to play as the season goes on. So, he could still be that person. Let's see.
Yeah, and he may be, and I'm not jumping the gun. I just think 4 games in, I just remember back, and I don't want to be that Alabama fan, that lives in the past. It's not that. I'm waiting to see that guy.
Right.
I'm waiting to see that guy step up and just dominate, and just take over, not necessarily the game, but take over the defense. As you said, to take over the defense and say, hey, this is going to be my defense.
Right.
To your point, our DBs, those guys are stepping up.
Right.
I mean, Patrick Surtain,
looking better
as a sophomore.
Yeah.
What a player.
Right.
They made the comment this past weekend about, how does it feel to be the oldest, the oldest guy
out there.
and he's a sophomore.
Right.
But man, those guys are stepping up.
No, I really I liked him last year, Shaim Carter. I think he's still playing steady. I think he's good, and according to Saban, he knows the defense like nobody else. That type of compliment I've only heard to Minkah Fitzpatrick.
That's right.
So I wouldn't be opposed to one or two of the DBs kind of stepping up and being the leader. But as I segue into this, which I know is your next question, as far as blitz packages, I did see the other day, and I mentioned last week, that I think we're going to, because we have two freshmen, that it's going to probably be more coming from DBs that's going to be blitzing. Then we saw a little bit of it the other day, just a touch when, things were, whenever I could tell, Saban gets a little irritated whenever Southern Miss was driving, and we sent I believe it was a safety blitz. And that was the only time I've seen it this year, really.
Yeah, we talked about it. We hadn't seen a whole lot from the defense. We haven't seen, really any blitz packages other than just straight up hat on a hat, send a linebacker maybe. We hadn't really seen a lot of things schematically, from the defense.
Not yet.
But I do agree. I believe it's going to be from the DBs. I think it's going to be walking that safety down, whether that be McKinney or whether that be Maiden, which I thought Maiden played pretty well on Saturday.
Yeah.
Did some really nice things. But
it's really hard to find and I don't mean for them to get big at it. It's really hard to find a negative thing
that's right.
about the DBs right now.
I agree. And I mean, man, having to Diggs back.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is that's so big because that joker is, he's playing lights out. He's out. These guys are out there on an island against guys that are 4-3, 4-4, and they know where they're going.
Yeah.
And as a DB, you never know where they're going. So, man, I thought he's played really, really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the DBs kind of do step in and take over a little bit as it relates to that blitz package, that leadership area. Because I'll tell you this, when you let Christian Harris and Shane Lee just play, those guys,
they can get to the ball.
You saw that from Christian Harris this past weekend.
Where he filled the gap.
The Joker stepped in the gap and he'll throw the lumber to you.
Yeah.
So when you let them play, that's kind of exciting. So I'm really excited to see. I think the more we get into the season and we start playing our SEC schedule, we start playing against competition where, hey, we can't lay off this. I think you're going to see the game step up a little bit for them as well. So let's take a short break real quick. We'll be right back, Tide fans. On behalf of Bob English and State Farm, hold your seats. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Enjoy the good times a little more with the right plan. As your State Farm agent, I am here to help you protect your dreams and loved ones with life insurance. With over 60 years combined State Farm experience, call me or any of my team to find out which options are best for you. Another way we're here to help life go right.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. I'm going to wrap up this show on this last segment, just kind of breaking down the last part of this game with Southern Miss, and then getting into another home game. Of course, I believe I heard that out of the next 6 games, 5 of them are home games.
Yeah.
That plays out in our favor.
It does.
I'm ready for us to play an evening game.
That'd be nice too.
I believe Nick Saban's ready for us to play an evening game.
Especially with the temperature still in the 90s.
Still in the 90s. And of course, I hope the fans stayed a little bit longer this time.
They didn't.
They did not. They did not.
I hate it for him, but dadgum, it was hot as all get out.
Yeah, it's tough sitting. I remember sitting, as a matter of fact, I think the last game like that, afternoon game that I went to was Texas A&M when Jonathan Allen had the Superman play on the.
Oh, yeah.
And man, when I tell you it was burning up hot. We were right in the sun, and it was on us the entire time.
Best way to get a date that says she wants to get some sun. All right, baby.
Exactly.
Let's go to
Alabama.
We're going to Bryant-Denny.
That's
We're
right.
going to sit on the visitor side.
So, again, Maurice, Southern Miss is what we anticipated. I was a little disappointed in the touchdown they had right there before the half. It looked like that's when I actually send a message to Jimmy Messick, who's not here with us this week.
He's
by
not?
the way, no, he's not.
I thought he was coming.
He's late. He's going to be late.
okay.
And I sent Jimmy a message. And I said, "Man, we just don't dominate like we're used to. We just don't dominate, especially this side of the ball, the defense side of the ball, like we used to. Because just haven't. They drove down the field. A penalty, I think one penalty.
Right.
So nothing.
Late hit.
Nothing major.
Right.
But they drove the ball down the field and put up a score. And granted, man, here we are. We won 49-7. But again, I'm just used to seeing the Alabama defenses that just would not let you gain a yard.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Sometimes knock you back.
Go back to the 2011 national championship
LSU.
game with LSU.
Right.
I mean, in the national they don't cross the 50-yard line. I mean, so that's just, again, I don't want to be the spoiled Alabama fan, but when you get accustomed to that, when you get accustomed to, that offense, sells tickets and defense wins championships,
Right.
that's what you want to see, and I'm just not seeing that.
Well, you talk about that. I was more disappointed, to which Tua mentioned after the game about, we got the ball back right after that, and we didn't really do anything with it.
Right.
It
55 seconds.
And that's where you're supposed to practice these things. Ask Notre Dame. That was the worst 2-minute offense I've seen. And we had a chance to work on something, and we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually was thinking about that as the game was live. And 55 seconds, all 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
And we really don't do anything. And you're right, that's an opportunity. If nothing else, that's an opportunity to try to get in field goal range for us to gain some confidence in the kicking
Exactly.
game, which we desperately need.
Right.
To gain some confidence there. And
But we didn't even do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that was very disappointing to me.
Yeah, I agree. That was disappointing as well. Looking forward to seeing the guys come back. The kicker Richard.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce his last
Yeah.
name. He's coming back. He's nagging injury. DJ Dale was practicing today.
I was wondering about what the prognosis was on
Yeah,
that.
Saban came out and said that DJ Dale and Terrell Lewis would both be available. Now, that doesn't mean that they'll play, but they will be available, that they're both working through those injuries, that they're minor. But again, they may not see the field.
Right.
It may not be necessary, but they will be available. So it's good to see that. I'm gonna tell you, when DJ Dale went down, I'm thinking we can't afford.
I think everybody was like,
oh my goodness! I sent Jimmy a text and said, "My gosh, can we afford another injury?"
I unfortunately said something stronger than what you said, and luckily I was by myself. But I was, it was like, when does this end? It's like, we talking about being spoiled. We went through couple years, without any major players
right.
having any injuries, and now it's like for the past 2.5 years, we can't stay away from it.
It's definitely been for the past 2 years. I mean, it's just maybe even 3. I mean, it's just happened to us. It just seems like more so than anybody, and we talked a little bit about that as far as our style and how intense that we train and we practice against each other. Maybe that's part of it, but maybe we're learning something, as we go this year. But when he went down, I'm thinking, we just can't afford that.
No.
We're already playing really young guys, and we're about to get into the meat of our schedule.
Yeah.
And I just.
When you think about it, I guess I'm going to be critical here. We've had #1 recruiting classes for the past, I don't know how many years, but we're having to play so many freshmen. Everybody's not hurt, so what is? It should be senior, junior, sophomore,
Right.
and then
Right. A few freshmen.
Yeah.
We're playing a lot. And as we said, Maurice, we're playing a lot in key positions. We're not just getting some guys in on the kickoff team,
Right.
which we've seen in the past.
Right.
We're not getting some guys in spotty. They're playing in key positions. I was glad to see Ben Davis. I saw Ben Davis out on the field on Saturday.
I saw him on the sideline
I actually saw him on the field.
playing linebacker.
And he was playing linebacker.
I must have ran to the refrigerator.
for a few plays. And I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, this guy is supposed to be he came out as 5-star recruit, all the hype, and has just kind of been quiet, and mainly because he can't get the system. But it was good to see him out on the field.
If you ain't got it yet, you've been there 6 years.
That's right.
So it seems like it.
So let's talk a little bit real quick about schedule, Maurice. I think our schedule lines up really nicely for us to make another run. It's anticipated.
Yes.
We got a few games that we're going to have to really step up our play, and I think everybody recognizes that. But I like how our schedule lines up for us to get to a playoff again.
Oh, easy. I mean, say easily. I predicted before the season that we would get through the season undefeated. Not to be cocky, but I thought that and for the most part, I still believe that. We were talking earlier. I am not a believer of A&M. Yeah, they can beat us. I'm just not sold on them as an improved team.
Right.
LSU, I'm still not overly. I mean, they've looked good. They beat Texas, which has no defense. So, let's put down the Joe Burrow Kool-Aid for a second.
Yeah.
Auburn is the team that's most impressive, in my opinion, that's on our schedule.
Yes, we are saying that on Alabama.
You can bleep this out, right? But that's what we pretty much gear.
That's right.
Our season toward. I mean, we want to get through it undefeated with the LSUs of the world and whoever we're going to play on the east side. Of course, Tennessee. God, Lord, I don't want to.
Gosh,
I
I
shouldn't say that. Can we say Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay, that is bad. Which could be an opportunity for a defense coordinator.
That's right.
Nothing, Pete. But I think the schedule is very manageable as long as we don't. I mean, who's to say that Mississippi State couldn't, surprise us?
That's right.
They can, but I think it does work to our advantage, and we'll just see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and you and I agree. We've talked before that anybody can beat anybody on any given day. If you don't come up and play your best, you kind of go through the motions. Anybody can beat you. We saw that this past weekend. Appalachian State had another big win.
Right.
First time since 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So I do believe that. However, I do also believe that we're getting better every week.
That's the one thing that makes me feel better. I felt like this week that
we got a little bit better.
I'm not saying that, we're the greatest team.
Right,
no,
that's right.
I'm saying that we're getting there.
And we're going to have to. And I'm not drinking the Joe Burrows and LSU Kool-Aid yet. I'm not saying they're not a good football team. They're obviously a good football team. But I still don't know how good Texas is. The same thing I'm going to say about Georgia and Notre Dame. Georgia's a good football team, without a doubt. I just don't know how good Notre Dame is.
Right.
So I do believe that we are getting better every week. Mm-hmm. I believe we have to get better every week with the schedule that we've got coming up, and it's going to be fun to watch. Some young guys grow up in a hurry and see how this season plays out. When we were anticipating Dylan Moses to start at middle linebacker and dominate, with a good defense, knowing the defensive backs were going to be better this year, now we're kind of sitting on the edge of our seats waiting to see what happens. So you're right. It's going to be interesting to see how the season plays out, but I think our schedule works out in our favor without a doubt.
It does.
So, Maurice, again, thank you for another good show, another good win for Alabama. We are home again this week with Ole Miss, and we will be right back here again next week on Channel 7 and 207. And we'll see you next week, Tide fans. Roll Tide.